we are here today to discuss Discord and how to set up a Discord server and how to do it best. And we have invited Nash from Interhacktive to share his wisdom, because this is pretty much he does for money. Joe, did I introduce you right? You set up Discord servers for money.
Well, kind of. I do just like a big part of my work is helping people create community spaces. So I guess like it's not always Discord though. So I help companies that do products for developers like game engines or like APIs, build communities. And so a big part of that is choosing a platform. And increasingly, I'm recommending Discord to people because of the features it has. That's my wonderful website made by Kevin Lewis, who's currently over at Vonage. It's ignore the copy. The copy was written by me. All the visuals were done by someone who knows what they were doing. And as you can see down there, we were talking a little bit at the start about like game dev backgrounds, and a couple of you are being from Unity. I work a little bit with Unity currently on some education stuff, which is very nice. Don't work on them with Discord stuff, but some other stuff. And yeah, a bunch of those clients that I work with, are creating community spaces or already running community spaces. And so a big part of my work is helping them find a platform that works for what they're trying to get out of a community and that's appropriate to the audience. And they're making sure actually, they run it well. So I do community thing.
And what are the rivals?
Yeah. So I was wondering the same thing.
Or what?
Yeah. So this is kind of like where a lot of my work comes down to, which is I try to help people think about what their community is actually doing before they think of a platform. So I think that's one of the things that often goes wrong and is one of the reasons why a lot of communities end up on Slack. And let me bring that around for a minute. So like what happens a lot of the time is people go like, oh, I want to make an online community. I already use XYZ app, and so I'll start it in XYZ app, right? Like very rarely do people say like, hey, what is this community for? What are people going to do on it? What do I want people to do on it? And what are the platform features that help that happen? So Discord, that's where Discord is like my front runner at the moment, because it's very flexible and it has these embedded voice and video channels and it has like roles. So you can make it work for basically anything you want. But like if, for example, you're dealing with a purely professional crowd, I still do recommend Slack sometimes because people are already in Slack. So it's easy for them to join another server. But I try to avoid that because the moderation is terrible. And then if you are mostly a knowledge sharing crowd and you care about that knowledge being available on the internet, like you probably don't want something like a chat app. You probably actually want like a traditional forum. So that's usually where the divide comes down. It's like, do you want is your priority like accessible and indexed information, or is your priority serendipity, like the easy ability to meet people and to chat? Because then that will decide whether you want discourse or Discord. And then once you're in those two categories, it's like, okay, what like how many people are in this community? Do you know all of them? Because the answers to that depend on how important moderation is. Mm-hmm. And if it's a really big community or it's an open source community, moderation is probably very important. So you probably want Discord. Or is it, like a security, is it like an activism group? Then you probably want something built on Matrix, So like it comes down to, it's kind of like trickle down.
I love that you brought up metrics. And open source geeks watching us right now. Google right now, like what metrics is. Pretty much metrics can be plugged into Jitsi, and suddenly you have your own open source Discord clone. Oh my God, it's open source cool. Discord clone. You can do this yourself on your own servers and set it up, and it would work very badly unless you know what you're doing. But open source, hype.
I love how exciting you guys look like.
Yeah, me and Krista just like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I want to pop up. Yeah, go on. Sorry. Go ahead. I just want to come up with this like super stupid and super probably straightforward question. Why is it hard to set up Discord? I don't get it, because it's not my full-time job, to set up Discord. It's usually something that Ollie is doing, and I'm usually responsible for the business part. So I don't get it. I mean, why is it hard to set it up?
So a little while ago, I started a Twitter thread where I was saying like, hey, if you're thinking of making a new community on Slack, like I will give you a free hour of my time to convince you not to do that. And a lot of that was because like I think Slack moderation is terrible, and also like Slack as a company have said they don't care about communities. So like, why should you give them your time? They don't care about you. Like, don't care about them. But a lot of what I heard in those calls when like a lot of, as I said, like I would recommend what worked best for people, and a lot of time that was Discord. A lot of what I heard about why people didn't want to use Discord was because of how like they felt it was very complicated to set up. And this came from like some really surprising places. Like there was a community that was based around, some open source technologies to do with one of the cloud providers, which is like there was some like intensely technical people in there. And like for those of you who haven't had to customize a Discord before, Discord is super flexible, and it has all these channels and then roles, and roles set the permissions that what a user can do. And unlike in Slack, where there are no like your options either admin or not, right? In Discord, you can control access to literally every piece of functionality. And so if you're new to Discord and you're setting up a Discord server the first time, that is already very confusing, right? You've got this huge list of like buttons, like, oh, I don't know what people need. Which one of these settings are dangerous? Like you need to configure it all. And then you set your roles up and you get that sorted. And then you start creating channels and you realize that, you might want different permissions for different channels. And then if you go to try and change like a particular permission on a particular channel, you have to do all of that again. And like there's nested, like roles can inherit from channels and categories, and you end up with like nested permissions. And so it gets very overwhelming very quickly.
And then you click sync button, and then it breaks.
And there's no undo. Like you have to then just go manually reset it.
Yeah. So, but on our server, it's normally Lera who does that. Lera, share your experience. Like, how do you still swear when you try to set it up?
Actually, like I wanted to fix something in our community, something about roles and permissions also. And like it's like, oh, it's super easy. Just go here and there, and you're gonna fix it. I'm like, all right, okay. And I'm like doing stuff, and oh shit, I broke everything, like literally everything. I had such a panic. I'm like, oh my God, what should I do? And he's not replying, obviously.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, should I delete all our Discord server? Or because I fucked up everything? But no, I figured out. But yeah, it brings a lot of stress usually. So that's why I'm doing everything at night, so nobody would see that I'm fucked up.
Yeah, I did the exact same. I had this was so annoying. So for those of you who don't currently use Discord, or who have just recently started, you'll have avoided this, but Discord's like up until March last year were entirely gaming focused. They were trying to compete with TeamSpeak basically, and then they rebranded. And now they're focused on communities, which is great and solves one of the big. I used to really struggle to recommend Discord to people because when you started it up, it would have gaming memes in it, and like there was lots of communities for whom capital G gamers is a warning sign, right? But now it's like a lot better. But they're also launching all these great features. But up until some of these features, we've had to make do. So like the prime one is like rules and code of conducts. So many servers used to do that with a bot, where when you join the server, you had to like message the bot to agree to the rules before you would get the permissions to post anything, right? So about a month ago, I had just done that, Laura. I had spent the whole night setting up all of the settings so that like, the everyone role had no permissions until they agreed to a bot. And I spent the whole night setting that up and then moved all 3,000 of our Discord members to that role. Like I did the transition, got everyone to agree to the new rules. And the next day, Discord launched the new rules screen. Like literally the next day. I was so mad. And then I had to undo everything overnight again and move everyone back to the other role and put in the new rules screen.
Oh no.
Which I think this is one of the areas that, like, to get back to the core question of like, why is Discord hard to set up? I think this is another thing unique to this moment, which is it's all changing very quickly. Like if you started a server like a month ago, like, if you started a server, like say July 2020, by September, like there was community features, there was the welcome screen, there was discoverability, like all of this stuff would like requires setting up, and like you have to know to sign up for it. And announcement servers, announcement servers are now a special channel that people can subscribe to, and like they act fundamentally different to every other channel, and there's not really any way to learn about that unless you've seen it in action before. So yeah, there's just, because there's so many changes, it's taking a little while, I think, for the docs to catch up, because like a lot of this stuff is still in like announcement and forum threads, right?
The docs, since you mentioned the docs, and each time when somebody mentions Twitch docs, not Twitch docs, but
Discord
each
docs.
time when somebody mentions Discord docs, I'm like, these are one of the best ever docs that I have seen.
Yeah.
They have characters. It's like stories. Even Lera, the famous Zoomer, would have fun reading Discord docs. Lera, did you try reading Discord docs?
No.
They have characters like actual
little elephant dude, whatever he's called.
Yeah.
Matt will know. Matt, what's the Discord mascot called? I feel like you would know this. There's a Matt. There's another. I don't know if y'all are familiar with Matt. Matt IPvor in chat is community manager or community engineer. Sorry, I think might be the correct title over at DigitalOcean, and runs a couple of. Thank you. Yes, and runs a couple of their community spaces, including the Hacktoberfest Discord, which is absolutely enormous. So we have a true Discord pro in the chat right now.
Matt, please, can we have you one of the next lives, please?
Sorry, Matt, I've set you up now.
I have invited Kevin, Joe,
nice.
from. I have invited Kevin by your advice. I have invited Orbit folks who have just recently moved from Slack to Discord. And I have invited the community club. Comsor people, they have a Slack community, and also they have utilized dev.to engine. I forgot what it's called.
Forum with an E. Forum.
Yes, forum. They have also like double communities, and it's interesting how forum how did they set it up. So that's what's coming over.
There's actually like. I want to call out a couple of things and like if those folks end up on the show, I want to set them up a little bit. Kevin is actually a great example of the Discord setup thing. So when Kevin first started doing You Got This during COVID times, he hadn't been a big Discord user before that, and we had to jump on a call to go through like just fundamental differences between Discord and Slack. One of them that always trips people up is how the channels work in Discord, because people are used to like, you create a channel in Slack and you can join it or leave it, whereas in Discord, they're always there. And I think that is true, and that is kind of annoying. But also, like, because of categories, it's very easy to, spin up a channel, use it for a short amount of time, and then throw it into an archive category and hide it or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so there was all these kind of things that we were running through that were good for conferences, like You Got This, because Kevin wanted channels for like a particular event that was happening, say January 2020, and then he didn't want to remove that chat history because it was useful to the attendees, but he didn't want it to still be around for the next year's conference, because in Discord it would stay in the sidebar. Mm-hmm. So that's where things like, hey, creating an archive category and moving it into there, that you do that, and you can't do that with other apps. So yeah, some of the ways in which, like just the nature of Discord and its permanent things used for conferences, Kevin will have some great things to talk about. And then Orbit in particular, I have referred to their Slack to Discord migration with other clients, I think 3 times this week, where I posted the screenshots of how they did it, because their communications around it were so nice, and I hope they talk about it. So they announced they were thinking about it, and they wrote up a whole proposal on Google Docs and shared it with the whole community, saying like, this is why we want to move to Discord. This is why we think it's better. Let us know what you think. They left that for a month, and then when it came to the actual transition, they announced it was like, cool, it's moving day, we're going. And they, first of all, incentivized. So if you move to the Discord, you get a sticker. And then they announced 2 new community things that used Discord features as like, like hey, we said Discord was better for these reasons. Here is that in action. So one of them was like, every Friday there'd be a games night, and that happens in the Discord voice channels. And then the other one was we're going to start doing office hours weekly, again, using Discord voice channels. So that was really cool, because like the community, anyone who was unsure about that transition, like straight away got offered like, here are 2 things we are doing that we can only do because of Discord now. And so that was like a really nice like carrot to get people to move. It was very well done.
And do people consider like technical technical options that Discord is giving? Because it looks like, technically voice and video options, technology is like amazing here in Discord.
Yeah, I think like y'all are the first people I've seen like hooking into the voice and video channels and like in this way. I think most of what I see from the developer side is bots. So like lots of people, and I spend a lot of time talking about this in one of the other streams that I do with raise.dev. Like the Discord API and ecosystem around bots is really interesting. Sorry, I just dropped something that's really going to bother me. Yeah, it's really interesting. So obviously Slack has loads of integrations, but Discord, and like the Slack API is a very good platform and is probably equal in power to the Discord one. But I feel like there's some really interesting things with the Discord API as a result of its gaming background, which is like, the game devs and the community, like, how do I put this? A lot of the stuff built for Slack is business applications, whereas all of the stuff that's available in the Discord API ecosystem was built by communities for their communities. So if you're just getting started with starting a server and looking at what's available out there on the API, it's like you will probably find something you can repurpose. There's already going to be a general purpose community bot built by a gaming community that you can use, right? And again, because this is kind of, I'd love to hear to what extent you agree with this, Ollie. One of the really interesting things about game developers versus, web application developers is game developers write code because they're trying to get something done, right? They just want to make the game, and that is why they came to code. Whereas a lot of web application developers, like code for code's sake, and they like messing around with their tools. And this definitely reflects in the Discord API ecosystem. There is a lot of stuff to just make a bot work really quick with Discord, whereas I feel like in other chat application API ecosystems, sometimes there's a lot of tools and setup for the sake of having tools and setup.
And if I can jump in and say, there is a plenty of no code ish options, and mostly via bots on Discord. So even the artsy people like Lera, they can just implement complex things.
Right.
And for example, Lera Atlas bot, it's super flexible. It has a ton of buttons and a ton of settings, but you don't look puzzled with it.
Well, because it doesn't look that complicated for me. Even if I'm artist, it doesn't mean that I'm dumb.
Okay. Go on. Go on. Can we talk actually about bots just a bit, Joe? So Atlas, that's also open source, and I like it. It's a bit slowish, but it works. Atlas.bot. Cool. Then Me6, that's what often people use.
Me6 is very popular.
And it's paid, and it's hated in the bot community for being slow. And Twitch Shift.
Yeah.
Tweet. We renamed it to Twitch Shit, so I don't remember how it's called originally.
Let me find it.
Yeah, it just reposts everything that Oleg posts. Very nice, very nice bot. He loves it very much.
We have personal relations with that bot.
I know, right?
Yeah. It's good to have a healthy relationship with your bot. Matt said Me6, aka Meme6. So for me, I actually am really into a particular bot collective. So my individual favorite bot is Yagpa, yet another general purpose Discord bot, which is at that lives at yagpa.xyz, so yagpdb.xyz.
Oh yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, and it's exactly what it says in the tin, right? It's there's all these Discord bots like Me6 that basically do the same thing, and they give you basic functionality like moderation support and the ability to set up roles and have menus. Yagpa I like because it leans into it, where it's yes, we're another one of those bots that does the same thing, haha. But what's really cool about them, if you scroll right to the bottom, you'll see that they're part of something called botlabs.gg. So botlabs.gg is kind of like a collective of bot makers that's owned by a company who does something to do with streamers. I can't remember exactly what. But they are still all maintained in the open by the original creators, but they then have support from this collective and from this company. And so why that's important to me, and this is a little bit, less interesting to the communities out there, but more interesting to the companies who are doing communities, is that, these bots are backed by, a real company and not some stranger somewhere on the internet. So if I'm recommending a bot to a client, you give Discord bots some really heavy permissions, right? They have the ability to read everything in your Discord and to collect your user data. It makes me feel a lot safer where I can say hey, here is this bot. It is owned by this company. Here is their privacy policy. And that company, has another business that is making money. The bot is not their business. So they have no reason to disappear overnight or to do weird things with your data. So that's a big part of the reason why I like the stuff by Bot Labs. They also run Carl, which is very popular. Carl.gg is, again, another general purpose Discord. Yeah, Carl, CARL.gg. It's again another general purpose bot. So Carl and Jagper are basically the same. And then then they have a couple of others that I haven't used. There's like a music one and a couple of gamey ones. And you can also, if you make a bot, you can apply to be in there. But yeah, they're my two favorite ones.
Music ones. Can we pause just a bit here? And I see many Discord servers have this music approach, as in you join a voice channel and they'll have the bot play some music to you.
Right.
What are the use cases that you like about that particularly?
So this is really nerdy for me, because I use that mainly to run D&D games in Discord. So I use this is the only time I've ever actually used the music bots. So now, seeing your stream setup, in a lot of the streams I run via StreamYard, I have music in there. So if I was doing a stream like this, I'd probably also bring some music in via a bot. But yeah, when I do I DM some D&D games where I will get my playlist set up with one of the music bots and bring them in. But in a community server, I haven't found a use for it yet. There's like a couple of servers where they have casual co-working channels where having some elevator music I think would be quite nice, because one of the things about virtual co-working is it feels like there's a lot of pressure to fill the voids, I think, to fill the silences. So just having some music play on one of those channels could be really good. I realized I was typing a response to what Matt said in the Twitch chat, but I can say it with my mouth. Matt said every bot is required to have a proper privacy policy now. Discord enforce it. True, Discord enforce the existence of a document, but what assurance do you have that some random developer in their basement is doing anything like that, right? And you have no more insurance. You have no more insurance of a company, but there's more. I feel like you're more likely to get some enforcement action from at the GDPR level against a company with a registered entity than you are against Steve, the bot maker, right?
Hyperbeast, if you're listening to us.
Oh yes, we have one favorite dude that came to our Discord community, and he made some bot.
Yeah.
And he's pushing us like, oh, can you add my bot here every fucking day?
Yeah. Nefarious permissions. I mean, I spoke about Bot Labs as being a and me liking that as a collective. That is just in terms of when I recommend something to clients, I need to be able to tell them. I need to be able to tell them that the user data story. As an individual, on my own projects, I always hack about my own bots. I use stuff that other people I've made. I'm part of why I really like the the Discord ecosystem is because it's so easy to go grab another bot from Discord that exists, and not Discord, from GitHub, and throw it up on the cloud provider yourself. So there's nothing wrong with indie bot makers, and arguably,
well,
it's just
it's
Hyperbeast.
Yeah.
Unless it's Hyperbeast.
If you are making a bot, be conscious of the fact that most of the scopes that your bot asks for ask for a lot of data, and random Discord server owners don't want to give all of their users' data to you. Be conscious of that.
We've been talking about the bots a lot, and for Slack users or for forum users, why would you want even to use a bot? Right. So the answer to that is this is a sort of no-codish way to embrace a Discord API.
Right.
That's one thing. Second thing, automation.
Yeah.
And is there anything else that?
Well, I feel for Slack users, everything that you use a custom slash command for in Slack is that's what Discord bots kind of fill the gap in. Discord doesn't have as many of the inbuilt, reminders are a good example. Slack, you can do /remind, and every Slack has a reminders thing built in. With Discord, you use a lot of third-party bots for that kind of thing. And just like in Slack, where you can go into the Slack admin panel and make a custom / command, you can do the same with Me6, with Jagper, with Carl. All the bots we've mentioned have an ability to make custom commands through their web panel. So that's kind of where it I guess would be the easiest transition for Slack admins to use them.
Mm-hmm. So bots, that's one thing that we have discussed, and that distinguishes Discord from everything else.
A really big thing that I really want to get to, and I cannot overemphasize this enough, and I don't want to pick on Slack in particular, but I'm going to because they deserve it, Slack do not want your community on their platform. They just don't. Literally,
but they
I'm not
want
even
money.
lying.
But they
do want
money.
money. But I'm not even lying. Like, you go to their Twitter, you will see tweet after tweet of them saying Slack is made for people that have HR departments. They care about companies. They don't care about communities. And like, that comes out in some really impactful ways. There are very few moderation features, and there are no personal moderation features. You as an individual cannot block someone, because in a company, that makes no sense. Imagine if you blocked your manager, it would be chaos. So for Slack, aimed at businesses, that makes sense. But if you're building a community on it, it is very hard for an individual who is, having problems or being harassed to protect themselves. And so that's like the biggest thing to consider, that like Discord, part of the good thing about Discord coming from the gaming community is they've seen the worst of humanity. And so there is good moderation tools on Discord. And people can deal with these problems. Yeah.
But anyways, if you have like relatively small community, does it still make sense for you to run it on Slack? Or
this is a great point. So if your community is either very small or very intimate, i.e. like, it's a group of 5 friends who know each other, like, then the moderation is not a big deal, right? Like, you're not likely to see that kind of behavior in that community. And if you are, it's probably going to be dealt with via other ways than moderation, right? So if you are already like on Slack and say, you're a village book club or you're just a group of friends, you don't need to bother migrating. It's not a big deal. But if you are thinking of making a new community for, say, a new open source project or a big event, and you're making it from scratch now, you are better off starting with the moderation tools, right? If you're already on Slack and you're migrating, there's more trade-offs to consider, because you'll lose people in the migration. And so like, it's worth considering, like, how intimate are these people? Do they know each other in real life? How easy is it to join this Discord? Do we vet members? Because if any of those are true, then moderation might be less of an issue. But if like you're starting now, you may as well have the moderation tools that you can, right?
Kevin, from You Got This conference, if you're watching us, this is what we're going to torture you on in one of the next episodes. How do you run a conference on Discord? How do you set up? Like, how do you address all the issues that Joe has just mentioned? Karina, please.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it's 5 people. I mean, you can use Telegram or something like that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But can you give some, I don't know, some tiers maybe, or some benchmarks? If you are aiming like, let's say 10K, 1,000 members community, then for sure Discord, right? Or maybe it's something like if you're aiming something up to 100 or up to 200, I don't know, that's Slack.
Yeah,
or
I think it depends
like
more on what features you are after rather than necessarily like the size. So like Signal and Telegram are like a great example where, like, if all you are doing is just like chatting and you just want like a spontaneous conversation, then like they're great. It's a single thread, like people can reply to each other, whatever, but it's just, a single thread of nonsense, and that's perfect for the format. But like, if you're 5 people just chatting or 5 people working on a project, you have very different needs, right? Because if you're 5 people working on a project, you probably want channels so you can separate your conversation. If you're 5 people in the company, you're going to want, a random chat channel and then things per project. So it definitely does depend on the application, and I think that matters a bit more than the size. In that case, like if you're going up to like, especially actually the size does matter, because as you start to get bigger, obviously you need more organizations. That's again an area where like even for companies, I think Discord is better because you have roles and categories, which allows like more organization. You can start to like, let me take a step back and summarize that in a neater way. I think Discord is still the better choice because Discord will grow with you, right? Like if you start out with 5 people, you have one channel and one role, and it's fine. And it has a mobile app and it's good. And it's just like Signal. If you add 20 people, you can add more roles and you can add more channels and you can separate who gets to see what. Like a prime example, this is actually the Discord that I hang around with, like my old school friends. Originally, it was just us. We've been friends for 20 years. Like it was all open. We were all posting in one channel. And then, we start to add newer friends. Like I would add someone like a flatmate, someone would add someone they went to uni with. And so like that circle grows. And as it grows, we wanted to separate like, oh, cool, here's the people who have known each other forever and, are very comfortable with our acceptable language and jokes. And so we have a separate channel for our own disgusting behavior, but not for everyone else, And so like, I think that kind of parallel can run in a lot of things. And so with choosing a platform, it's worth considering because moving platform is so painful and is always hard. It's worth choosing something that will let you future proof. And at the moment, like Discord are just investing a lot more in the future of communities than the other options are. So I think like future wise, I would still recommend Discord. But if you are in terms of like right here and now, look at what features you actually want and which platform gives them to you the easiest and go with that would be
and
that's a
this
really great point.
Has been the great recommendation of where do you start with Discord and how do you start. Since I see people just doing a totally Slack-like structure when they start the Discord service, and I'm like, I'm hiding from Discord in this nice new thingy. Why do you make this Slack again?
Right. When really you can shape it, however you want.
There's so much to talk about. Like, how do you embrace audio channels? And D&D was one of the examples, and music. So like we touched many things, but we'll dive deeper into that in further episodes. And Joe, so I'm showing your website again, but what are the best ways to ask you, like, to give you money so you set up a community?
Yeah, for sure. So as it says there kind of at the top, I work with people in a variety of different ways. So I work with some people, a couple of days a week permanently. I work with some on like a one-off project. Have a look if there's anything that interests you or you want to chat about anything. Up in the top right of the website is the contact page, and you can reach out. I will say I am currently fully booked until at least April.
So you don't need money. You don't need money.
Please do not go give someone else money until April, because otherwise I will actually die. But if you've got a project coming up later in the year, I would love to chat to you, and you can find it on that page. Thank you very much for showing that.
Let's close this show and thank Joe Nash once again from Interhacktive. This is his website. Don't go there. Don't give him money. He doesn't need that anymore. Give that to somebody else who needs money more.
But thank you so much for having me. It's been super fun. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thanks.
Thank you.